Futurama is back. Or is it? As some of you probably know or may not know from clicking on the thumbnail and seeing the title of this video, Futurama is back. And it is on Hulu. Or as they call it on the show, Hulu. And it's a Hulu-rama at the beginning. But Futurama is in fact back. It fell to the streaming service logic of, well, this show is popular on the internet for this 5 seconds, or has a cult following that does a lot of rewatches. Let's buy up that property, start it back up, get a couple seasons in, and see if we can squeeze out some more money for that old magic with people that are probably well past their prime of writing good stuff. And that may have happened with Futurama. A lot of examples for this kind of situation is kind of like Arrested Development with Netflix going over there. Once it went over there, it was kind of the quality went a little more down, but then they closed it out just to close it out. It was still good, but it just wasn't as good once it turned into a Netflix show. Animaniacs. So a lot of the similar people worked on Futurama worked on that. Had big memes about that show blow up out of nowhere. It brought it back, did some new seasons, and it just wasn't quite as good. I think they did one or two seasons, and I don't even know if it's canceled or still going. But now we have Futurama, and it's kind of like when, in my personal opinion, it kind of feels like when in traditional TV when a show gets canceled and bought up by a new network, kind of like when Scrubs went to like NBC and did like the ninth season. Kind of feels like that, but better, but executed better. But still that weird feeling you get when you're like when you after you watch a show when that happens. But I digress. So let's get into it. Okay. I have seen episodes 1 and 2, and by the time this video is out, episode 3 is probably going to be out as well. Depending on how this goes, I might review that one too. But let's start with episode 1. So, episode 1 of the new Futurama. I guess let me try to go spoiler free here first. Uh, it it's good. They really home in on a lot of jokes. So, spoiler: Futurama likes to poke fun when they get canceled and brought back. A lot of times, the first episode when they come back, they will make jokes about it. I believe like the first time they did it, they did something where they turned they turned like Fox Executive powder or something, and they kept like putting it out down their pants or flushing it and using it to like clean toilet bowls and stuff. And it was supposed to be like making fun of the executives that canceled the show at first and then regretted it. This one, they poke fun at Hulu a lot. They call it Fulu. Now it's consistent into the second episode with the traditional opening of Futurama. They go like Hulu Rama, and then it spins and says Futurama, like that. It's very self-aware, and personally, I think they went a little too hard into it. I think they just kept going. We got canceled and brought back. We got canceled and brought back. Like every other joke was about it. It felt like they really, really thought it was the funniest thing in the world to shed light on the fact that they were canceled 10 years ago and not brought back by Hulu, and even making some jokes about like, oh, it was a bad idea and stuff like that. So, but it was good. And any of you who've seen my first review video this time, I just still don't have a script, but I have notes. So let's start off with the notes. I know I didn't really do much of an overview for spoilers and whatnot, and there's not a lot of structure here, and it seems like I'm rambling, because I am. But let's go with one of my first notes. So episode 1, they do pick off right where they left off 10 years ago. if you've seen the finale of season, I believe 10, I think it's the one that was left off on, where time is frozen, finally grow old together, and then the professor is in some sort of like time tunnel vortex thing and saves them and says we'll reboot and they'll go around they'll go around again. They don't really go into the explain the science of how the professor could do that. He just kind of does it. Usually they're pretty good at like explaining that kind of stuff with the show. They pride themselves on their science and smartness. They didn't really go into it. They just says, "I did that because I'm the professor," and then now we're picking up where we left off. Do the "we're back, baby," and all the classic Futurama stuff. Immediately pick fun of like, man, it seems like we've been frozen for a while. And Bender's beer is flat and all that kind of humor. But so it was a pretty seamless transition. Just and the show's back. I will give credit to that. It was while the initial opening jokes were very straight, bang in your face, bare bones Futurama jokes, and then it just went and so now we're back. The voice acting's still good. I was concerned when it came back that after 10 years, everyone there's kind of 10 years, your voice is going to change a little bit, especially the age that a lot of these voice actors are. It may be subtle changes, but it's going to change. But so I was a little concerned that they just couldn't quite sound like themselves, and it's a cartoon. They don't really age, and so wouldn't really match your memory of the voices. But it actually ended up pretty good. There are throughout episode 1 and 2, there are a couple times like the lady did Amy, who does the voice of Amy. I can't remember her name, but in episode 2, she kind of it seemed like it started to slip a little bit. It wasn't the most Amy voice sometimes, but and then uh, is it Billy West who does Fry and Zap and Zoidberg and all that. He's really good with all of them, except when he did Zap in episode 2, it seemed like his heart wasn't really into Zap. I don't know what it just there was something about him doing the voice for Zap this go around. It just didn't. It just kind of fell flat. But let's see here. Animation's the same, exact same. They didn't do like Animaniacs where they try to like polish it up a little bit. It looks exactly the same as when it was last canceled. Uh, okay, let's go all around humor. Let's see. So Futurama is really good with the humor. It's really clever. It's the writers of The Simpsons. Futurama's always felt like the writers of The Simpsons baby. Like they would do stupid stuff in Simpsons that made it go bad. Like I mean, like I don't watch The Simpsons now. It's turned into just crap. Disenchantment. I liked like the first season. Second one was good, and then 3 and 4, or I think it was 4, and it just started really. It was weird. It just got weird. The mystery stuff. It seems ham-fisted or rushed or something, and the jokes weren't really landing anymore. It got a little too dark. But Futurama, it's felt like they've always been like they really tried their best with it. It's their baby. It's the stuff they put the most effort. They try to flex their brains because they're all very clever people there that work on it. I know like last couple seasons before they was canceled, it was going downhill in quality. It was, but generally, Futurama always prided itself on its cleverness, and the humor was, and it's a very distinct humor, especially for an animated show. Futurama's always been a very distinct humor, and with this reboot, jokes were like 50-50 landed for me. I just don't know what it is. I smiled a lot, and I was like, oh yeah, that'd be a joke Futurama would make. It's kind of what happened in my head more than just like, oh yeah, this is awesome. This is new Futurama. It was just kind of like, yeah, that's a Futurama joke. Is kind of what I thought. Is just I don't know. There wasn't there was missing something. I can't quite put my finger on it. I want to say like the soul of the show, but maybe it was just because of it was this first episode was joke, 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 joke. There was no room to breathe. And Futurama always knew when to let a moment breathe. You know, and they even had sad episodes too, like the one with Fry's dog. Everyone in the rewatch skips that one because you just cry at the end. With Fry and the Clover, thinking his brother like betrayed him, but it was actually like the honor of his uncle to his nephew after his left. He has an emotional payoff with his mom at some point. Like there was always this little bit of seriousness to the story. Not much. Some of the stuff, not much, but there was always that little something that just kind of elevated it. So it wasn't just a slapstick joke, 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 joke animated thing. This first episode felt like it was missing. It wanted to take a breath in between. That didn't. It could be just a slightly less silly joke, or just be a little, or just a little something moment, a couple more like transition scenes or like something. It just didn't quite work. Um, I will say the funniest thing that happened in it, and this is a spoiler, um, but I'm like 11 minutes in, so the first episode, Fry goes, "Oh, it's been 25 years. It's time for me to finally find a purpose in the future." And his purpose is to watch every TV show ever made. And of course, Fry, man after my own heart. And in order to do that, he subscribes to Hulu. Get it? Because it sounds like Hulu. And when he's like scrolling through, so there's two times the joke happens. The first is when he's making fun of real TV, or like of like cable TV and on demand, and just like the big TV guide list. The shows on the TV guide list are the funniest thing of the whole show. Like if you since it's on Hulu and you can pause it, just keep pausing it until while he scrolls up and just read the TV show names. They're hilarious, and a lot of them poke back to like famous shows from the '80s or ones happening now, and it's hilarious. And then even the jokes went like on Hulu itself. Like there's one that looks, it's like it basically is Tiger King, and he's the Fry's like, I hate watch that because he keeps going off, seeing that, seeing that, seeing that, and he goes to like a Tiger King one. He's like, I hate watch that, and go on. That stuff was genuinely funny. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, the first time they got canceled, came back and did we got canceled jokes. It was a lot funnier. This one they joked a lot about being canceled. Like every third or fourth joke was a joke about it, and it was kind of funny the first time, and then it kept losing the funny. They tried to make jokes about binging. This whole thing is Fries that then, in order to watch all the shows, he has to binge. They strap him into like a binging chair, and his mind slowly becomes one with the TV. So Bender and Leela have to create all my circuit episodes as quickly as he's watching them. And he jokes about like binging bad for your health. I recommend you binge only 10 episodes only, and then take a break because I think there's gonna be 10 episodes of the season. And he's like, and if there's a show really loves its audience, it'll get itself canceled every few years, mandatory. Stuff like that. So a lot of times when the show gets rebooted, it feels like there's not heart into it, like they don't do it properly, like it's a cash grab. They do at the end of this episode, they do address that. 'Cause Fry's in court talking to Nixon and a bunch of people about the seriousness of binging and the dangers of binging and stuff. And he had said, "Don't reboot a show if the quality won't be there." was like rule number one: you shouldn't reboot a show if the quality won't be there. I think that's I think that's the writers and everyone acknowledging this fact and being like, hey, we didn't just do this for like a cash grab or anything. Like they genuinely want the show to be good. They want to do their best with the show and put the quality there and put what the fans want and deserve is what I think they should be doing. I think that's what they should be doing. I think that's what they said. However, I did watch a couple of Animaniacs when it came back, and with what I've heard about The Simpsons these days, I'm really afraid this was written at a time where they thought it'd be funny to have a lot of politically charged jokes or like references to COVID or anything like that, and like the vaccine. And I am afraid they're going to have that stuff in there. Even if no matter what side of the political are you on, those jokes just aren't really gonna land right now. Because I mean, like, who really wants to remember it? Who really thinks that some of the humor about it these days are funny without like potentially the jokes could be funny and they could be there, but there's no studio that has the backbone to make the really good jokes about it. So if they do it, it's just gonna be stupid, in your face nonsense shit, and it's not gonna be clever. And I just don't need it. I want Futurama. You know, I want the escapism. I want the cleverness of what the future's gonna be like, while with still references to modern day and the past and stuff. You know, I want Futurama. I want that show. I don't want old, an older creator and writers who are getting old and want to put in their political messages in there, and or go on Twitter and see what the young people are like these days and try to write to that. No, I want them to use the smart parts of their brains and write a clever and good show. Okay. I was all over the place, but that was more or less episode 1. I kind of went all through this whole reboot, cancellation, stream thing because that's what the episode was about. That's what they wouldn't drop. That the whole thing was about it, whole thing, and they wouldn't stop making jokes about it. So that's why I kind of went back and forth talking with it into the episode. Now the episode, and I apologize if that's not what you wanted to hear with a review. I'm still figuring this whole thing out. Okay, episode 2. So you'll read in the synopsis. It's like the first thing. It happens like the first 3 jokes, so it's not really a spoiler. But this episode is more or less about Amy and Kif finally go back to the Kif's world in the pond where they dropped the kids off. Remember, like Kif got pregnant by touching Lila's hand, and that's when Amy became the Fanfanru. Kif, they put the little tadpole babies into the water, and they're like, oh, in like 10 years, they'll emerge, and we'll have kids. So since it's 10 years since it was canceled, they went back and they have the kids come out of the water. And so it's all kind of about Amy learning that she's ready to be a mom and like proving she's ready to be a mom and stuff like that. Uh, let's see. They did a great job doing callbacks to the original episodes. If you were like, say, if you weren't one of the cult Futurama followings and you didn't know all this stuff from many seasons back, it does do a good job of just seamlessly looping you into what happened and everything, and not feeling like, okay, now I'm just getting a 1-for-1 shot of the past episode. It's not like a clip show kind of thing. They do actually do pretty good job just doing some flashbacks and kind of explaining it, and a couple hear her comments and lines that throw you in there and get you in it good. This one is funnier than the first episode. It is funnier than the first episode because they do let some stuff breathe. Amy has some serious moments where she's, thinking the kids are falling for Leela and not her because one of them have some of them have Leela's DNA and everything. Spoiler, sorry, but they do let it breathe and have kind of that. And there's even some humor into her freaking out about it. And so I think a lot more of the jokes landed. A lot more, Kif, Kif going off to do dupe stuff, leaving the kids there with Amy, and her breaking down and crying because he's gone, and now she's got to deal with the three kids. It was funny. It wasn't laugh out loud funny, but it was funny, and then some seriousness to it because she was panicking. They do have some moments that they expect you to know the old show. They don't completely recap everything, like they have. God, it was when they got the tax returns, and Kif tried to get, and Kif got the like a watch or something for Amy. She got the tattoo, and there was a whale. And remember, Kif ended up jumping into a tank to get something, and it got eaten by the whale, who threw up. He got, the whale threw up to turn to the perfume, whatever that's called. Ambergris. And there's the character who's a whale biologist, and he hates whales. Well, he's back, and he hates bears. He's now a bear biologist on a different planet, and he hates bears now. But they don't. So if you don't know who that one episode one off character is, you won't get the I hate whales. It's like, oh, I'm glad you found an animal that you like now with bears. He's like, nope, still looking. Like, you won't really get that reference to that joke that much if you don't know that one guy from that one episode. And see, there was a couple criticisms I had, and that was kind of the back again. Amy's voice actor, her voice kind of started to slip when she was like panicking or angry or stuff, and she just didn't have the same. It's not how I thought Amy would sound mad and stuff. I don't know if it was she thought this was a funnier voice to be doing, or if she's just starting to get old and it hurts to do the Amy voice or something like that. I don't know. Just thought it sounded weird when she had those emotional moments like that. Spoiler if you don't want to know about the end, but there's a part where Kif has to save Zap from bears. And they do a callback to his early in the episode. They do a callback to the fact that he has a camouflage reflex, and then at this part, he turns on his camouflage reflex because he wants to get back to Amy to help take care of the kids. So he goes like badass predator mode kind of thing, and he takes off all his clothes, and he turns invisible. And then how he kills the bears is he climbs up on the wall and shoots a bunch of stalactites to then fall down and impale the bears and kill them. And then he comes down and he uncamouflages and he's naked with a belt on. Because he goes invisible and you can see his eyes and you can see his gloves and his shoes because he only takes off like his shirt. And I can't remember if it was a continuity error because I thought he didn't have the belt on. I thought it was all invisible until he landed and became visible again. I'll go watch the episode, double check, let me know in the comments below if that's what happened, because I'm probably not going to double check. But the main point of that is he was outside the cave, climbed up the walls, up and above the bears while they were distracted by Zap, and then did that. He didn't need to be invisible. It was just there so they could have a nudity joke. So he'd be like, look, it's funny that he's being serious, but he's naked. It wasn't that funny. And I mean, it's not a big criticism. It's dumb. It's not a deal breaker for the episode or the humor for me, but it is just kind of like I did sit there and be like, he didn't need to be naked. It didn't really add much to the humor. So if that's the only criticism you get for a show, I'd say it's pretty good. The first one was just really, they went so hard on the cancellation and bring back jokes, it kind of made it go like meh. Second episode felt more Futurama. I hope they continue to feel more Futurama. I hope they do actually put the passion in it. I hope the shows up and being good, and I hope you all watched the video and enjoyed the video and liked what you heard. If you did, please like and subscribe and follow us. And if this does well, or just because I have no other ideas, I'll probably review episode 3 and 4 after they come out. Probably do a double pair in one and see how it's going. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Bye for now.